Now, in the last video, I was talking to you about how I'm preparing the beds by getting rid of this stuff. Now, this is the crabgrass that I pulled out of the beds just in this first bed, because if you remember, I didn't have any of this as a problem in the other areas. So that's quite a lot. I've left it here for a few days to dry out, and I should just literally get rid of it because we don't want it. So you can just go over there. So after doing that, I then started to lay the cardboard and then compost on top. And if we look across here now, you can see the beds that I've made. Now, there's the layer of cardboard on top of the soil that we already had with the compost on top. And if you look, you can see where I've been watering it, the edges are still quite dry because the compost in itself was dry, and we're going to look at that in a second. This is green waste, it's not homemade compost. I need to create a base. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bays or beds, and they're 9 meters long and 1.5 meters wide. And I've been giving them a lot of water for 2 reasons. When you add moisture to compost, the compost will suck up 10 times its own weight. And the idea is, if I can get this compost wet, it will push down onto this cardboard layer here. But it's just about beginning to take it on. But there are areas, as we've already seen, that are still quite dry. But what we need to do is understand this green waste. So let's go and have a look at a delivery I had. I accept that what I'm trying to do here is on a much bigger scale than most, I'm not going to say amateur gardeners, I'm going to say growers. And so I can't produce enough compost here to make these new spaces. So I have to buy it in. And this is where a potential problem comes that we've got to be aware of. So this is 4 tons of green waste that came in last week, and it came in quite hot. It needs to be above 160 Fahrenheit, between 160 and 180 degrees Fahrenheit, or looking at my gauge here, well above 70 degrees Celsius, preferably 80 degrees, for 40 days in the manufacturing process for it to be safe to use. But I don't trust it completely. And when I put my thermometer in here, when it was delivered, it was between 160 and 180 degrees Fahrenheit, which is really hot. Now, it's currently sitting at around about 130 degrees Fahrenheit. It's been, like I say, it's been here for a few days. But I want this to be my base layer. I'm not going to be growing directly into this to consume the produce, but I've got to get a base layer down on top of that cardboard, as we've just been seeing. And in a minute, I'm going to show you how we do it. But with green waste, and as it turns out with a lot of compost that you can buy in the bags in your garden centre, it's not all what it seems. It has the potential to be contaminated with all kinds of, I'm going to say the word nasties, I don't quite mean it like that, but things that we don't really want necessarily. Now, there's 2 things to be thinking of here. Heavy metals, so we're looking at things like lead, cadmium, that kind of thing, and then also forever chemicals. The problem with forever chemicals is it's everywhere. It's in our rainfall, it's in our water systems, it's in our soil. We cannot get rid of that stuff. And those chemicals, or PFAS as they're called, come from things like your Teflon coatings on your non-stick pans, from your waterproof clothing, from Gore-Tex, all that kind of stuff. The heavy metal stuff comes from, say, rainwater drainage. So going into the drainage, you're going to get things like brake dust from cars, and the cadmium from cars, and the rubber from the tires from the cars, all that kind of stuff. But then also, when you're getting a green waste compost from your local council, you start finding things like this, which is a bit of wire, electrical wire, because the local council is collecting the garden waste from the local households here, which leave them out in their plastic bags, and then they also collect. Look, I've just found a fag end there. Look, I mean, it's never going to be clean. Now, when I am going through this stuff, I've always got a rubbish pot. To be fair, it's pretty clean, but I'm always going to find bits from people's garden waste that they throw in. So plastics, microplastics, bits of the plastic bag. The other thing that this stuff is made from is the municipal waste from the council's parks. You know, tree cuttings when they've been pruning, grass cuttings go in there. There's a bit here. There's all kinds of things, but there's no guarantee. Well, it's pretty, I think the only guarantee is that this is going to, a lot of this material in here will have been exposed to chemicals, you know, weed killers, glyphosates, all that kind of stuff. And so it's important that this stuff, when it is processed and when it is made, it hits those temperatures to kill off and get rid of a lot of the pathogens that could be in there and the chemical residues. But you need a little bit extra. You need something else to help you to make sure that that is going to be really clean. And that's your own soil. If you lay it out, like I'm going to show you in a second, the soil microbes will come in and begin to remove a lot of those heavy metals, for example. The heat process of making this stuff doesn't get rid of it all. It kills the pathogens and the germs, but it doesn't kill off the chemical residues. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to make the new area of the beds in exactly the same way as we've done these, and then explain to you why I'm doing it so early, because I'm not going to be growing anything to eat on these beds, but I'm going to be planting something to help get this lot all cleaned off. So let's go and have a look at how I'm using that. When we came over to Hungary from the UK, this is coming up to our 5th year now, I brought this bad boy with me, and it's my Hater Harrier 48 lawnmower. It weighs a lot. It was made in 2001 and it served me well. It has taken quite a bit of abuse. Now the key here is, will it start first time? I've got to be quick with this because I've got a slight leak on the side of the petrol can, but that's okay because the exhaust is the other side. Now, it's a great machine. The Queen liked them, Wimbledon liked them. So I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to start the mower. I haven't got the grass collector on this because the idea is I want to get this grass cut as low as I possibly can, and then anything that it cuts is just going to sit on the ground, so it will rot down and become part of the organic matter that we're after. So I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to start cutting the beds that we want to lay the compost on. Will it start first time? Will it start? Moment of truth. Right, so I've cut the lines using the hater, and as we look down towards the Husky, the lawn tractor, you might be able to pick out, although it's very difficult I guess, the difference in the height. So this is what I'm looking to cover, and so what I'm going to be doing is using this cardboard. Now it's a bit of a windy day, which drives you up the wall, so obviously I don't want that to go anywhere. So to stop it being blown about, try and keep it in position. Take some of the compost, throw it on there just to hold it down. Now the lawn tractor is, so it's a Husqvarna. I can't remember how many horsepower it is, but it's pretty strong, and it's invaluable around here because I've got quite a big space to cover, and so using it with the trailer helps no end, and that will become apparent in just a second. The downside of having it with the trailer is that I can't collect grass with it, and that's when the hater comes in. But then with this heat and lack of water, we don't get much grass, do we? So all I'm doing now is just rolling this out and holding it down with a few shovels of the compost. Okay, so we've got the Husky, as I call it, Husqvarna. And for those that are a bit nerdy, it's a TS142. Now, I did mention what the horsepower was on this. So it's 500cc. Doesn't tell me what the horsepower is, but it's a lot. And the trailer is the equivalent of 5 wheelbarrows full of this green waste. And so because the green waste is right over there, I don't really want to be pushing that wheelbarrow about. So this bad boy comes in, and I've got to get this on that cardboard. Eagle-eyed viewers are going to notice that I've finished that roll of cardboard, because I've been using what I bought on those other beds. I need to go and buy some more. Just drop it on it. It's going to help push the cardboard down. We're not going to be super level. We just want to get this ground covered as the first priority. But you can see how dry this stuff is. And as I'm doing it, obviously I'm looking for anything I don't want to be in there. Okay, this is going to take me a bit of time and it's getting hot. So I want to crack on with this, then I'll show you what it looks like when I've done it. Just this line, I'm not going to do them all, you know, give me a chance, but I'll show you this line when it's finished. I'll see you in a minute. They say the world of a gardener can be glamorous. Yeah, maybe if you're Alan Titchmarsh, but I'm not. So that's the first bed done. So where I've didn't cut that bit, this will be the next one, and so on and so on. And these lines here will do two things. I'm out of breath and it's quite hot. This path will grow because as this is watered, the water will permeate in between. So I'll end up with living pathways between each bed, which is fine because I can cut that and use that to either add to the compost heap or throw on here as a mulch next year when we're growing in it. Now for 5 years I've been doing it this way, and it's only because of recently I'm able to expand into this area, because there's no point in having all of this land if I don't grow anything. So I've got to repeat the process 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and when I count it like that it feels quite depressing with this work, but I'll get those 7 done and then we'll look at the next stage.